BBC Three's Murder in Successful has returned, and D.I. Sleet is just spectacular. Has a brand new set of celebrity rookies to help him solve the terrible crimes of that town. Tom Davies is the star of the show. He's here with us. Tom, hello, afternoon.
Hi, Tom.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Really well,
Great.
thank you. Now, I'm aware that you've had to explain the premise of the show approximately 84,000 times, but for people who aren't aware, please, can you explain the premise of the show?
So it's a town made up of people doing celebrity impressions, but in a very weird and surreal way. I play the only cop in that town. Every week there is a murder, and I'm joined by a rookie sidekick who is an actual real celebrity. Someone actually summed it up the other day and said it was like Star Stories meets, oh God, I can't remember what it was. It was
Something about murder.
Yeah,
Murder,
I
She
think
Wrote.
it was Star Stories meets Line of Duty, and it's sort of that's the best way of explaining it. Otherwise, yeah, that could have saved me minutes and hours of trying to work out a good way of.
It's always struck me as such an original concept, and you are the co-creator of it. So how did you come up with it?
It was, to be honest with you, it was a girl by the name of Avril Sperry who works on the show, and she was just sort of messing around with different formats and coming up with different ideas of us sort of doing something. And the murder mystery thing came along, and it sort of grew quite organically from there, really. It's sort of James DeFond, who's a really good friend of mine, and the director sort of lent this sort of noirish sort of quality. Basically, the reason we filmed it like that is because we couldn't afford to film. We had to film as much as we could in the dark because we couldn't afford to do it in the light. Because it hides a multitude of sins. And it's just really grown from there. Really, it's sort of it's actually something I think the BBC, and I'm really proud to have made it for the BBC because they've really backed it. It really is a crazy sort of unique premise, and they've spent a long time nurturing it and backing it, even before it ever went on television.
Now, we have to point out the celebrities that you get involved have no idea. There's no script. It's all improvised. They have no idea what they're letting themselves in for because the story can go anywhere. One of my favourite bits, Tom, is when you just see behind their eyes flashing as they're thinking, what is going on? When you come out with a great killer line or, Rita Ora or Bjork is found dead. And they just, that look of complete confusion on their faces as they try to keep up the fact they're in control is just glorious.
It's a lovely thing as well because sort of they all have their different ways of dealing with it and keeping up with it. That's what's so lovely about the show, really. And I sort of say this quite a lot. I think it's one of the few shows where you really see the true side of the people taking part in it because there's nowhere to hide. I think, I've done panel shows and I've done loads of different shows. Even sort of sitting here now, you have an idea of kind of what's coming, but we literally throw everything we can at them. And so for Martin, it was laughter and a genuine sense of disbelief. And then I think Richard was just trying to sort of make some sense of the madness that was going on around him.
He was great.
He fully embraced it.
Richard Osman, I'd candidly say that we wanted him to do the show since we first ever came up with it. I think he's a tremendous, really amazing man. He's been actually supportive to the show well before he ever came on it, and he's someone I'm very glad to call a friend. He was very strange. He was a friend really now, but when I'm Sleet, and I think he tried to test Sleet's limits as much as he could.
Yeah, you had a fairly good go right back at him, though. The artist's model section, shall we say.
I really did not think he'd be as game as he was for that. What's lovely was that I think he completely was like, whatever gets thrown at me, I'm going to do, and I'm going to really put my heart and soul into this. And also the most intelligent man I think we've ever. He picked up every part of that the case. It was generally looking like, oh, wow, we've got Sherlock on here.
He solved it. And he's actually taller than you, which must be nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'll maintain that I have a flatter shoe in there.
And much worth is made of the fact that you are two enormous men trying to solve a crime together in that episode. It was a great episode. But listen, you mentioned Martin Kemp there. Let's have a listen to a clip from that one. So this is the second episode. This is D.I. Sleet and Martin Kemp revealing they've been undercover while investigating the murder of the fictional Rita Ora.
There's one final bit of this story that has seemed to cause somewhat upset. We are also not the Crenchely McQuaffins. My name is Des Sleet. This is...
What's my name?
Martin Kemp.
Oh. I'm so confused with the names.
Which is the name that you've been for the longest in your life? Martin Kemp.
Are you crying or laughing?
He's laughing.
I'm crying over Rita.
Yes, he was.
Rita was a really good friend of ours.
Yes, well, a friend of yours. I was
My
just a
name's
law customer.
Must be years undercover has affected you deeply.
Well, yes, it hasn't been that long. It's been 10 minutes.
He was Phil Neville, though, in fairness to him, before that. Was he one of the worst for corpsing?
Yeah, I think he probably is sort of the worst really we've ever had. He was joyous. We got Martin in, and because there was that sort of, he was the first actor we've ever had do the show. Mm-hmm. So there was a kind of sort of, was he going to preempt things? And also, Martin's a brilliant actor. He really is. He doesn't get enough credit for what an amazing actor he actually is. So there was a part of us thinking, oh God, he's trained, he's done improv. But he corpsed, and I mean the amount he laughed was joyous, really. I mean that's the thing that makes you love doing it. And I find it really hard to keep it in, like, because he's really trying not to laugh. The scene sort of leading up to that, when I'm giving him his alias and the character's name, and
what is it again? Remind
the Crenchly McQuaffin, and he's like, can't we just be something else? What would you rather? We were a tailor, but he had to say we cut that out because it felt too alike. But when we were doing the Phil and Gary Neville thing, when we went into the pub, there was a bit that we cut out where he was like, we're Phil and Gary Neville, we're the hardest cops in town. I was like, we're not meant to be cops, we're meant to be gangsters. And he just couldn't get the undercover thing. Genuinely, just both of him and, I mean, everyone, we've really fortunate this year. We've every year actually, but we've had amazing guests. This has been it's really felt like stepping up into sort of, all of them, just for different reasons, are just brilliant.
Mark, Murder and Successful is simply the best, said Michael. Tom in Somerset, please tell Tom Murder and Successful is by far my favourite series ever gets its own sentence. Watching the celebs deal with spontaneity and the quick thinking of the cast gives a sense of the celeb as a real person with no pretense of a script or a role. My wife and I love it. Have you ever, Tom, had a moment near the beginning of a film, of an episode, where you thought, I don't know if they're going to get it. I don't know if they're going to pull through?
I mean, I won't mention which person it was, but we did last series. We had someone who I think still probably now doesn't get what he's actually doing. I think he probably thinks it was all a dream.
Looks back at that with a slightly hazy
that was the most difficult and it actually in the end ended up as a good episode because of the cast around, and we sort of have a fallback for how that works. But that taught us a lesson really for this year. To everyone that we had on was someone, it felt like they'd had enough about them to sort of be quick and they get it. I mean, there's so much for you guys to see. Lorraine Kelly's amazing.
I can't wait. We were talking about this earlier, saying we can't wait for Lorraine Kelly.
That was anything I've done in my career. When Lorraine Kelly walked in and her first bit was, has there been a murder? Was like, oh wow, this is. I mean, and Reggie Yates is the coolest, most handsome man you've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever met Reggie, but my God, you don't want to be standing next to Reggie. At one point, we're both in dressing gowns, and it's like, and Pro Green. Yeah, we were really fortunate for this series to have people who felt they were going to bring this. And like I say, every year, Vicky Patterson brought this sort of Mark Wright, Jamie Lang, Dermot, Deborah Meaden.
Oh, you're all on first names now. Listen to you, Dermot, Deborah.
I don't proclaim to sort of keep that much in touch. I think after they've spent 2 days with Sleet, I think they never want to see him again. I have to make sure that they know that we're not the same person.
Are people now lining up, though, do you think, to be part of it?
Yeah.
It's very, very cool and funny.
Yeah, it seems that more people want to do it. I think it's a really weird thing as well, because again, credit to it. It's 2 really, really long days. It doesn't sound much because, I've done a proper job for a long time.
You used to be a builder, didn't you?
Yeah, a long time ago. But they sort of, they come and do these 2 really long days where they don't know what's coming, and they are really putting, I think now obviously they know it's not a hidden camera show and we're not going to cover them in sort of bacon bits and egg. But
well, that would be good.
Yeah, I know, maybe we'll do that next series. But I think it's hard I think when it comes to musicians for them to have 2 days if they're promoting something that can or sports stars. And I think the test was seeing how someone like Martin was as an actor. Because now it's like there's quite a few actors who sort of mentioned at Mould about doing it. I want to do it with the guys from Line of Duty. That's the dream.
Is that the dream?
Yeah,
Vicky McClure.
Vicky and Martin are really good mates of mine. And Martin lived on my couch when he was auditioning for Line of Duty.
Really?
I taught him his accent for that. There we go.
Did you?
Yeah. He lived on my couch for, well, he says a month. It was about 5 months.
He's having a terrible time of it at the moment.
Oh, he is. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. He's
not well, man.
But my God, it's some serious,
Isn't it?
right? Yeah. It's literally spellbinding. We haven't got
Cannot
those
wait.
cliffhangers. I wish we could do them. I wish you could do 5 episodes with one rookie. And,
Would you have Adrian Dunbar as Hastings?
yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him and Gordon Ramsay, Liam Hurricane go head to head.
Oh, too right.
Gordon Ramsay. We could do
Yeah.
a whole interview about that performance.
His performance
Just
is
amazing.
I'd wait till you see him in episode 5 and 6, because episode 6 we sort of have to basically, because of budget requirements and stuff, we always do something that's a bit different because we don't have enough for a sort of 6th guest, so we have to sort of think outside the box. So we always sort of basically just do a sort of what we call our fly episode, which was Breaking Bad when they're in the in together with just a fly.
Or Clerks, when it was always all the shutters are locked down
that's it.
because
So
they couldn't afford to film in the day. Yeah.
This episode is just kind of Sleet and Ramsay. And it's one of my favourite things I've ever done, because Liam Hurricane is a phenomenal, and this series really actually, because he feels like he steps away from just being an impression of Gordon Ramsay, and it's actually become a character in its own right. 5 and 6 for him are joyous.
And Conor McGregor.
Oh,
What a genius idea that was.
That's how the lovely thing about this show. I remember sort of saying, look, we need to do Conor McGregor this year. I'm a massive fan of his, and let's what could he do? And then we've sort of, it came to him being in the Victorian episode, and it has to be something that he can't be a gangster, he can't be something, so it's
No,
being
he's
a
a
pathologist.
pathologist, yeah.
And then Tom
Pathologist,
Bennett,
yeah.
who is again a friend of mine and someone that I'm a massive fan of his work, and I don't think there's probably a better improviser than Tom in the country at the moment. He's phenomenal, and we sort of got him in, and he was doing a play at the time. I can't remember for the life of me what it was called, and he hadn't really rehearsed it. So he turned up on the day and did this incredible impression that literally just lit the whole set up. It was the first thing we filmed with Martin Kemp, and it was just, he's brilliant.
And boy, he laughed. He really, that's when the corpsing began.
And it went for
full tilt from there.
It went for 2 days.
Oh, superb. It's lovely talking to you, Tom.
Really
Thank you for having me on.
And very enjoyable to get to watch this for work as well. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all your support. It was also lovely to hear people are enjoying the show.
Yeah,
So
they
thank you.
really are. Loads of them texting. Thanks a million. That's Tom Davis. And if you want to watch it, it's on BBC 3 right now, Series 3 of Murder in Successville.
You're listening to a BBC 5 Live podcast.
If you like this, you might also like this.
Fighting Talk.
This is always quite random, as the podcast extras are. Freebies that you've been given by bands.
I got a paperweight from ELO.
To find out more about our range of podcasts, click, tap or swipe bbc.co.uk/5live.